Christmas morning in New York always feels like a movie. White snow clinging to the rooftops, faint carols drifting from somewhere down the block. I stood by my apartment window, silk blouse soft against my skin, cradling a mug of coffee so expensive I once would have called it reckless. The city stretched out below me, all glass and steel and possibility, and yet the sight still carried an ache. Christmas has a way of pressing old bruises, no matter how many layers of success you wrap around yourself. My phone buzzed on the marble counter. The family group chat, a dozen unread messages, photos of the tree back home. My sister Emma posing with her husband and their two golden retrievers. A caption read, "Best Christmas ever. Can't wait for everyone to see the surprise we got the kids." I smiled, a tight, polite smile, and set the phone back down. The smell of cinnamon from the candle on my table mixed with the faint scent of my morning perfume. It was amazing how memory could still catch me off guard, even after all these years. That Christmas, the Christmas, had changed everything. Back then, I was just Avery Parker, the quiet sister, the one everyone forgot to look at twice. That morning, in a living room glowing with lights and laughter, I learned exactly how small my place in the family really was. And that was the day I decided to leave. I can still picture that living room. The tree sparkled like it had been plucked from a catalog, silver ribbons cascading down, glass ornaments catching the light, the smell of fresh pine needles so strong it almost burned. Everyone was laughing, tearing through wrapping paper, the sound of crinkling plastic and squealing kids filling the air. Emma sat cross-legged on the carpet, her perfect blonde hair pulled back with a velvet bow. She was always the center of the room, the one with straight A's, the one who made captain of the cheer squad, the one who could do no wrong. Dad handed her a tiny box. She opened it, confused for a moment, before pulling out a shiny car key fob. "Oh my God," she screamed, jumping to her feet, hugging everyone in sight. "Your car's outside," Dad said proudly. "Merry Christmas, Sam." I clapped like everyone else, my palms stinging, my throat tight. Then Mom passed me a small box wrapped in cartoon snowman paper. Inside was a piggy bank, pink, ceramic, with a single-dollar bill folded inside. The room went quiet for a moment, or maybe it just felt that way to me. I smiled, too wide, too fake, muttering a thank you while my ears burned. It wasn't about the car. It was about what it meant, who was worth celebrating, who wasn't. Later, while everyone was outside taking pictures with Emma's new car, I slipped upstairs. My hands shook as I shoved my few clothes into a duffel bag. In the hallway, my grandmother caught me. She was the only one who noticed. "You don't have to stay where you're not seen, honey," she whispered, cupping my cheek with her warm hand. "Sometimes leaving is the bravest gift you can give yourself." Her words lodged deep in my chest. At dawn, while the rest of the house slept, I left. No note, no dramatic speech. Just me, my duffel bag, a bus ticket I bought with babysitting money, and that ridiculous piggy bank wrapped in my sweater. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I wasn't coming back. That first winter was brutal. I rented a tiny studio apartment in Queens, one room, peeling wallpaper, a radiator that hissed all night like it was mocking me. I worked at a diner during the day, waitressing until my feet blistered, and took evening shifts cleaning offices. Some nights, I cried so hard my chest hurt, clutching that pink piggy bank like it was some kind of anchor. But I never called home. One afternoon, the diner's manager, Mrs. Delgado, found me sitting outside during break, scribbling in a notebook. She asked what I was writing, and when I shyly told her it was ideas for starting a small baking business, she sat beside me and said, "Then you better get serious about it, kid. No one's going to hand you your dream. You've got to plate it yourself." She became my first mentor. She showed me how to run a kitchen efficiently, how to calculate food costs, how to treat every customer like they mattered. With tips and a little money saved, I started selling cupcakes at the Sunday market. My table was tiny, my decorations cheap, but people came back for more. My first big moment was when a local cafe asked if I could supply them twice a week. I said yes, even though I had no idea how I'd pull it off. Months turned into years. I upgraded from that one-room apartment to a slightly bigger one, then to a shared commercial kitchen. I hired a part-time helper, then two. I worked nights testing recipes, mornings delivering orders, and afternoons chasing invoices. And slowly, I built something real. By 25, I had my own small storefront. By 28, a second location. Every time the business grew, I'd glance at that piggy bank, now filled with spare bills and coins, and think, see? I'm not just the quiet one anymore. Online, I kept things vague. A photo of a coffee cup, a picture of a city street. No bragging, no business announcements. If my family asked, I said I was doing okay. The truth was I was thriving, and no one back home had any idea. It was almost 10 years later, when the text came. Christmas at Mom and Dad's this year. Everyone will be there. Please come. It was from Emma. I stared at it for a long time, the words blurring. I hadn't been home for a single Christmas since the night I left. Part of me wanted to delete it and move on. But another part, the part that still remembered my grandmother's words, the one that had grown stronger every year, whispered, "It's time." So I went. The drive felt surreal. Snow clung to the road, the sky a pale gray, like the world was holding its breath. When I pulled into my parents' driveway, I could see the house lit up like always, a giant inflatable snowman on the lawn. But I wasn't the girl who had left this place with a duffel bag and $1. I stepped out of my Tesla in a perfectly tailored coat, heels clicking against the pavement. Inside, the house was warm and loud, familiar and foreign all at once. Emma spotted me first. "Avery," she gasped, rushing over to hug me. "You look wow. You look amazing." "Thanks," I said, offering a small smile. Everyone gathered in the living room. The same tree sparkled in the same corner, but this time, I wasn't sitting in the shadow of it. They asked about my life, cautious, curious. I could have kept it vague. I could have smiled and nodded and left it at that. But I didn't. Instead, I invited them all to my office the next morning. When they walked in, I watched their faces. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city skyline, sunlight bouncing off the polished floors. The reception area smelled faintly of vanilla and coffee, with shelves displaying my bakery's products, awards, magazine features. A huge photo of my first market stall hung on the wall, a reminder of where it all started. "This is yours?" my father asked, his voice quiet. "Yes," I said simply. "All of it." I led them into the main office, my office, where my name was etched in gold on the glass door. I told them about the business, the stores, the partnerships, the team I employed. I told them how I'd started with a single cupcake table and a piggy bank with $1 inside. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Mom's eyes filled with tears. Emma sat down heavily on the leather sofa, shaking her head in disbelief. "You built all this?" she whispered. "I did," I said. My voice was calm, but inside, my heart was pounding. Dad cleared his throat, looking both proud and ashamed. "I think we owe you an apology," he said softly. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. But the truth was, I didn't need their apology to stand here anymore. I let the silence stretch until I could feel the weight of it settle in the room. "I didn't invite you here to make anyone feel small," I said finally. "But I needed you to see me. The real me. The woman I became when no one thought I could." Emma's eyes shimmered. "Avery, we never meant to." I held up a hand. "I know. But intent doesn't erase impact." That Christmas, I realized I was invisible in this family. And I left because I refused to stay that way. They shifted uncomfortably, but no one interrupted. "I'm not angry anymore," I said. "But if we're going to have a relationship moving forward, it has to look different." Dad frowned slightly. "Different how?" I leaned against my desk, crossing my arms. "For starters, honesty. No more backhanded compliments. No more brushing off what matters to me. And if you want to be in my life, it has to be because you see me as an equal, not as the kid sister who is never good enough." Emma bit her lip. "I do see you that way. I always did. I didn't say it enough." "Then start saying it," I said gently. "Not just to me. Say it to yourself, too. You've been living under everyone else's expectations as much as I was. You deserve to be more than the girl with the perfect life on Instagram. Her chin trembled. What if I don't know who I am without that? I smiled faintly. Then that's your work to do. And I'll support you if you're willing to try. I turned to Mom and Dad. And I want you both to stop comparing us. We're different women. That's not a bad thing. Dad nodded slowly, his jaw tight, like he was swallowing years of regret. This isn't about revenge, I said. This is about making sure we don't repeat the same patterns. I'm willing to have you in my life, but only if respect is the starting point. The words hung there, sharp and soft all at once. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like the quiet one. I felt like the one setting the terms, and it felt good. The first signs of change were subtle. Emma started volunteering at a local bakery, learning to bake on her own terms rather than chasing likes on social media. She called me sometimes just to ask for advice, small questions, shy smiles over the phone, but genuine. Mom began journaling, reflecting on how she had judged and compared, and even Dad surprised me by enrolling in a cooking class with the city's community center, something he'd never have done before. It was quiet, slow, imperfect progress, but it was real. One evening, after they'd left the office following a weekend family visit, I sat alone at my desk. The city lights stretched below me, painting the skyline in gold and silver. I reached for the piggy bank I'd carried all these years, the $1 bill still tucked inside, as a reminder of where it all began. I held it for a long time, tracing the smooth ceramic surface with my fingers. That tiny, ridiculous gift had been my first step into the unknown, my spark of courage when the world seemed intent on ignoring me. I smiled. You did good, Avery, I whispered. You really did. I realized then that freedom wasn't just about leaving. It was about standing tall in the life you built, the one no one else could define for you. It was about setting boundaries, demanding respect, and giving love only where it could grow. And somehow, even in the warmth of the holiday season, I felt a new kind of peace, the kind that comes when you've fought for yourself and finally found your place. That Christmas had given me $1, a piggy bank, and a choice. I chose myself, and I would never regret it.